Hey, Coach Jess here with a tip for you. I want to talk about shame. I remember the first time feeling shame when I was in first grade, and the teacher was asking everyone what a funny commercial was. And I remember raising my hand and telling them that I thought the commercial where the older people are falling down and can't get up and they use their button to call for help, that I thought that was funny. And I remember the look on the teacher's face as she looked at me in a very scolding way and said, "Why would you think that's funny? That's terrible." And for a little first grader who hadn't had enough experience in life to know that that wasn't funny, I didn't know about older people and their bodies not working well. I didn't understand how heartless that could seem or anything like that. It just felt very shaming to me. I like the acronym should have already mastered everything for shame, because that's exactly how I have felt every time I've felt shame. Like in that moment, I felt like, oh, I should have already mastered this apparently, even though I have no idea what I was supposed to master. And it puts you in a very hopeless place. And when you feel hopeless, it's very freezing and stunting to your progression. And sometimes it can even reverse your progression or make you feel like there's no hope and you just give up. It actually prevents us from learning what we need to learn and becoming what we need to become. Another acronym that I like for shame is scarring hearts and missing experiences. Because it is very true that when you feel this shame, you are in this painful place, you feel scarred, and it feeds this hopelessness, so you're unable to use these experiences for lessons and for growth. Now, in our relationships, we want to make sure that we are avoiding this shame. At times, you might find that there are some toxic people who use shame to control another person. And some people are more at risk for feeling shame. Those that feel like they aren't good enough, that they have to be perfect, are more at risk for feeling shame. So it's very important to keep ourselves in check and realize that with everything, it took time to master things. Even if you learned how to do something, it takes time to master it. So think of riding a bike or driving a car. How many times did you make little mistakes as you were figuring these things out and mastering them? Often, even now, we probably still make mistakes in those areas. It takes time, and it's important to be patient with ourselves and with others as we are trying to master things. It's not an excuse to make mistakes, but shame is so painful that it halts progression. Whereas if you understand that you made a mistake, then you can use that mistake to apply the lesson you learned to the next experience and get better, instead of being halted or reversed or frozen in that shameful place. It's important to remember that each of us in all of our relationships are probably a first-time parent or a first-time child to a parent, or a first-time wife, or a first-time husband, or a first-time second wife. That's something new as well, or a first-time second husband, and so on. So there's no way to have mastered everything about that role in that relationship. And so it's important to be very patient with ourselves and be able to apply less mistakes to make them lessons to be learned and apply to future situations and do better. And it's also important to be very patient with others as well and understand that they don't have to have mastered everything either, that they're in process as well. So let's remove shame from all of our relationships so that we don't have to feel like we're in a hopeless place. Hopelessness can be helpful. For example, if you're trying to build a boat out of graham crackers, you will feel hopeless for a reason. You're working with a material that is going to dissolve and it's just not going to work for boats. If you feel hopeless in a relationship with a toxic person, there's a reason. You're working with somebody who does not want to have a healthy relationship. So there's a reason you feel hopeless. Sometimes hopelessness can be good, but when it comes to shame, hopelessness is very destructive. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and until next time, take care.